Stuart Webber, it seems like there's been quite a few changes around the academy in recent weeks and all sorts of things. How do you assess the work that's been done?
Yeah, there's been lots of changes which are never nice and not easy. When we've lost, he hasn't died. We let a club legend go, and which is difficult, because sometimes the easy thing is to keep people like that, and then people have been here a long time. So that's not an easy period to go through, but it's probably a period after a long review, and I'd spent a lot of time here, and obviously Richard left as academy manager. We brought a new one in that we felt we needed to do something, because in our opinion, whether we're right or wrong, the academy wasn't producing to the level of the investment that we're giving. It's different if people would say, Josh or Jacob Murphy, yeah, that's great, that's 2 players in the last however long, but fundamentally it's not producing as to the level of investment that we've given it. So we felt we needed to do changes. We felt we needed to do it now, because in youth development, people have got a horrible habit of talking about always a future, and the under 12s are great, the under 14s are great, etc, etc. We actually needed to produce a lot quicker than that. Now, of course, there's a period of time where changes will take effect, but Steve's under no illusions, and Dean Wright and all the guys who are coming in, that Matt Gale as our 21s coach, we're under pressure to produce players quickly to help us in the short term, not just the sort of medium and long term. So that's why we did them.
Yeah, I guess you knew the kind of reaction that Darren Huckerby, especially his departure, would bring.
Yeah, and like I said, it would have been easy to keep him. And sometimes it's not about just making decisions which are popular with the fans, because we have to do what decisions which we fundamentally think are right for the football club and to take the club forward. And that's why we made that call. And it is a tough call, because he is a legend here and he's a good bloke, but it's a call we felt we needed to make, and we did it, and we don't make any apologise for that. We're not here to shirk difficult calls. If people wanted people to just make the easy calls, then we're probably the wrong people for that. But we've done it, and hopefully the proof will be in the pudding, which will justify not only the change with Darren, but all the other changes which took sort of place at not only the academy but Colney as a whole over the summer. There's a lot of changes, and hopefully the proof will be in the pudding with that. Yeah,
how sizable a review was it? Because it looks from the outside that the staff have gone down, and some people looked at that as cost cutting.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, part of that is that we've got to cut our cloth accordingly while we remain as a Championship club. And by the way, even if we're a Premier League club, it shouldn't just be pouring money down the drain, which has maybe happened a little bit. And we're now faced with the consequences of that. So don't get me wrong, there is an air of that. I also think both myself and Steve, we like small groups of staff. We don't like a training ground which has 100 staff walking around. We don't think you can bring spirit, continuity. It's the same with the squad size. I remember talking to Daniel over the summer about the size of the squad, and we're both on the same page. It's too big. We need tighter numbers. How can you get team spirit if you've got 8 players not even in the squad who are all sulking every Saturday afternoon because they're not involved? And it's the same with staff. If you've got 2 coaches at every age group and they're coaching 14 players, well, there's one coach who's either joining in just playing 5-a-sides or doing nothing. So his motivation goes down, and I think so part of it is to help cut costs. Let's not get away from that, but more importantly is to sort of just streamline it and make it a little bit more tighter so we could focus and go a bit deeper, we think.
I was going to ask you about your old club's decision, and I know you've spoken about it before, to go down to Category 4 status, but I suppose it's done you quite well, hasn't it, because you've been able to bring Steve Weaver and now Dean Wright in as well. Yeah,
and potentially a couple of players as well. They obviously all their players became free, which was a call that they've made, and ironically I spoke to Dean, the chairman there, about their decisions, and they've got their reasons for that, and I respect them that they've made a decision. They haven't sat on the fence. They've gone and taken action, which I think is pretty brave and a pretty bold call, but that's what's right for their club. But yeah, we've benefited because we've now got Steve and we've got Dean here, and hopefully a few players to come, and yeah, it's the call they had to make. I understand why they did it. They're in a completely different situation to us because of their location. If you look at all the clubs around them, it's pretty tough for them to compete. That said, they have got the England under-19 goalkeeper at the minute, which isn't bad. But yeah, I mean, for us that's not an option. We want to grow our academy, not close it or downsize it. But what other clubs do is their business.
And again, you have spoken before about not changing the category of the academy. How steadfastly can you stick to that, given the costs involved and the outlay that it would require? How important is the academy staying as it is and having a role at the club?
I think it's vital if it produces. If it doesn't, we have to look at it again. But if it doesn't produce now, it's my fault. It's Steve's fault. It's no one else's, and we've got to make it work. We have to make it work, because as a club who and the supporters know we're self-funded. we could save a bit of money by closing it. That's pretty obvious. But when you look at the money it could produce us, you've got to weigh out the sort of risk versus reward. And for us, the risks of keeping it going, the rewards should outweigh that. We're under pressure to make sure that happens. I think going down a category doesn't really make sense because, yeah, it saves you a small amount, but you've still got a big overhead, and it probably makes it harder to produce players because the game programme becomes less, it becomes less sort of attractive. So I think we're either fully committed to it or we're not. And at the minute, certainly the appetite from myself, and certainly the appetite from above, what I'm being told is no, we have to make it work. And listen, it's a community club as well, and let's not forget the academy is the heartbeat of a community. It's right that a Norwich City boy has the opportunity to play for his football club if he's good enough. And if we take that opportunity away, then I think let's scrap calling ourselves a community club. Let's call ourselves just a business. And I think we've got a duty for that. But at the same time, we've got to make it work. It can't be a nice to have. And I think too many clubs probably run academies which are nice to have, and we have it because this club have it or that club have it. I think for us, we've got to take it serious, and that's something we do. Myself and Steve will meet every day. I meet with Daniel every other day, talking about our young players. We've talked before about Neil Adams' role with the players out on loan. Ben Godfrey on loan, Remy Matthews now on loan. It's like no, they're on loan for a purpose. Carlton Morris, can they come back and help us, or can they generate income so we can sell them and then put the money back in? And that's what we have to do. And if we have a plan and we're really rigid and we stick to it and we believe in it and we invest in it and we give the head coach the ability to play these players and not feel under pressure that if you play them they're going to make mistakes and we're going to hang you out to dry. It's like no, that's our decision as a club, is to support this. Then I think we can make it work.
And speaking to Steve as well, he also mentioned about Colney, which has to be such an important part of the academy in terms of the bricks and mortar that the players and the youngsters are working around. How difficult is it at the moment with how Colney is, and what happens with that? Because with the accounts, we've seen how tight finances are at the club.
When you say Colney, do you mean the facility, or?
Yeah.
We have to develop it. I was having a conversation with Russell Martin sort of 2 months ago or whatever, and we're just talking all things the club and whatever. He's been here a long time, and he said, what a crime it is that this club's been in the Premier League so much. And when they first got there, he was there, I think, part of the League One team, which got obviously double promotion under Paul Lambert. And he says we worked so hard as a group of players and staff, yet we're in the same facility now as we were then. Where's the opportunity to develop? This place is sort of, we might have missed a boat. Now what we have to do, we can sit around and sulk about that and complain about the past, or we can try and do something about it. And we're working on plans at the minute with the board to see how can we safeguard some money to develop Colney, because we have to. Now stage one's already happening because part of EPPP we have to develop the changing room, so they've literally started cutting trees down and stuff now, as you'll see when you do your press conferences. So that'll take effect reasonably sharpish, but there's a stage 2 and a stage 3, and at some point we're going to need some financial help from that, and it might be whether that's from trying to get help from supporters or local businesses or whatever, to say come on, help us, this is for the academy. We might have to do that, but what we can't do is just give up and go, oh well, we've got no money, let's sit in bed all day and sulk. It's like no, let's try and be creative and do something about it, because if we truly believe in youth development, well, we've got to develop the facilities to produce the best young players, we've got to develop the staff to produce the best staff, or else it doesn't work. But certainly we've got to make a step at Colney.
I should just ask you a couple of first-team questions, if you don't mind. In terms of the 3 games, it's obviously been quite a tricky period going into the international break. How confident are you that things will pick up on the other side of it? Obviously we're always confident. I think there's sort of some mitigating factors for the results. I think let's not get away from it. The Derby game we should have won, and I think if we'd had our feet up on the sofa rather than trying to beat Arsenal away on the Tuesday, I truly believe we would have won that game. I think they took the benefit of having a week to prepare, and fair play. We wanted to have a cup run. We wanted to do 9,000 fans proud at Arsenal, and if Daniel would have gone and put out the youth team in that, we almost couldn't win with that game. It was unless we won the game, of which we could have done. So Derby, I think Wolves come in with a better team. Let's not dress that up. They were good. You can see why they're top of the league, but also let's remember the money that team is to put together. The midfielder in there was 15 million quid. They got a 15 million pound winger on the bench who comes on for 7 minutes. It's like, okay, if people expect us to compete with that, with what we did in the summer, then I'm really sorry, we can't. If they turn up and play like that, we can't do that. And then if you take the Bolton game, listen, we can't get away from the result. We lost to the team bottom of the league, but
we should be 3 up again. It's a game where Cameron takes his 2 chances. I think we probably go and win the game 4, 5, 6. Who knows? And listen, we've had lots of key players out who are very close to returning, if not back. We've had a time of adjustment for the players. You know, I think the break has done everyone good. I think we now go into a period where after this week we then play 1 game a week, which I think will help in terms of getting our injured players. I'm thinking Pritchard, Tetty, Oliveira, get these sort of guys back, and also give the you know, again, we've spoken about it before, we've got a lot of foreign players first time in this country. We've also got Angus Gunn, who's played 15 games in his career. We've got Harrison Reid, who I think played 2 games last year. James Husband, who played 1 game last year. James Madison, who played 14 minutes for us last year. So we've got a lot of players who are adjusting to the rigours of this, and not only foreign players, also our sort of British players. So, you know, we're work in progress with that. I think everyone has seen the signs when we had the unbeaten run. Okay, it's starting to come. We need to get the balance a little bit better at Carrow Road. Everyone knows that. You know, we're not scoring enough goals here. And listen, I'd sound an idiot if I said, we've been brilliant at home, haven't we? We haven't. We've not done well enough, and everybody knows that. But I certainly believe, although we lost the 4 games, 3 of the performances weren't a million miles away from what we wanted. You know, they weren't a million miles away, and twist of fate maybe meant we lost the game, maybe a lack of quality in certain areas or whatever it might be, but we're not a million miles away. I didn't sit in this international break thinking, oh my God, this is a disaster. It was like, actually, we're not too far away, and when we get some big players back, who, let's be honest, Pritchard and Oliveira probably starting any team in this league. Once they're sort of back, I think certainly at home it becomes a little bit easier for us to at least break teams down.
Stuart, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Thank you.